Welcome to the NFL.
There's nothing like being in the NFL, so get in the action. Come on, get into it.
Now you're in the NFL when you get into the NFL Pro Line, because now with the NFL Pro Line, you can get the real thing. The same equipment Mike Ditka and all the rest of the NFL coaches use, the tools of the trade. Coaches' shirts and shorts by Bike. Coach's cap by Sports Specialties.
Same one I wear.
Sweater by Cliff Engel.
That's my sweater.
And the starter jacket, custom tailored, custom designed.
Who's the new coach?
You could be next.
Look for the authentic NFL Pro Line.
Okay, get into it.
NFL Pro Line, get into it. For your NFL Pro Line catalog, send $1 with your name and address to 6921 Preston Road, Dallas, Texas, 75205. NFL Pro Line, get into it.
The Chicago Bears 2006 run begins now. Welcome to the start of the 2006 offseason, as we're taking on a new challenge with the Chicago Bears, led by head coach Lovie Smith, entering his third season with a 13-19 record. It's time to make a real playoff push for this team. Let's take a close look at this roster, and as we discussed in the last episode, we'll be making a real push for a QB upgrade this offseason. I mean, this team is really a QB away from being a legit contender, as we're about to see. Drafted Cedric Benson in last year's draft. The game absolutely loves rating-wise at a 100 overall, so that could be a lot of fun. Hopefully it won't be too easy. We'll mess around with the sliders if so. But wide receiver is certainly a weak spot. David Terrell's contract is going to be up, and there's really not a big weapon outside of Marty Booker in this wide receiver room. So certainly going to need to upgrade that this offseason. Tight end as well, super dried up. Both guys not even over a 70 overall, so two weapon-wise in the receiving tight end room, certainly going to need to upgrade. Offensive line is definitely one of the biggest strengths in the offense. Cruitt, Brown, man in the inside. Also got some really strong tackles with Tate. Kieft, I think, was their third-round pick last year as well. So it's a really good offensive line that can have a lot of fun with the run game. Defense side of the ball, this is obviously the Bears' MO. Tommy Harris holding it down at D-tackle. Might add a few more depth at D-tackle, especially defensive line. D-end isn't really that exciting outside of Alex Brown. Pass rush is always a struggle in this game, though, but we will be running our 4-4 defense, the famous 4-4 defense for Chicago. We ran that 3-4 with Oakland last year. Linebacker anchored with Lance Briggs, and last year's second-round pick, Kevin Burnett out of Tennessee. He's actually 90 overall when healthy. He just got hurt at the end of the season, so that's why his ratings are down right now. Urlacher, obviously, middle linebacker, the real leader of this defense, of course. Cornerback can definitely use an upgrade. Nothing really there outside of Peanut Tillman. So certainly going to add another corner, I believe, in this offseason. Strong safety could also use an upgrade, but we're certainly set at free safety with Mike Brown. Special teams seems pretty decent. Maynard's contract is going up, but we'll probably look to re-sign him just so we don't have to worry about that punting situation. So now let's go ahead and finish up the rest of the 05 season and get into the offseason. NFC takes home the Pro Bowl. So starting off with retirements, we have our first curveball to kick it off, and that's Ruben Brown deciding to hang it up. That's a real blow. I was looking forward to not having to address the offensive line other than maybe a couple depth pieces here and there. But now we're going to have to find ourselves a new starting guard. Desmond Clark also retiring, although we needed to upgrade tight end regardless. As well as the original AP, Adrian Peterson retiring, so we're going to have to look for a third running back. Let's flip through the rest of the league here, just see if there's some shocking retirements. Might start to see some now. Brian Dawkins, that's a big one. Strahan. Wanted to check out the Packers as well, and it seems like Favre is going to be coming back for another season as he tries to chase that last ring after our Raiders beat him in the Super Bowl. And check this out, Charles Woodson hanging it up. Suffered a season-ending concussion last year. Now might be showing some signs of CTE, so he's really going to be hanging it up now, sadly. Buss also retiring as he doesn't ride off to the sunset with a ring in Detroit for Super Bowl 40. And that's pretty much all the league retirements there. So let's head into the re-signing period, as there doesn't look like a ton of guys I'm thrilled to bring back other than Brad Maynard, as I mentioned earlier. I think we're just going to go ahead, lock him up, not have to worry about the punting spot. We'll also bring back Hillenmeyer as a cheap depth piece behind Urlacher. But the rest of these guys, there's the guys here I think we're willing to just let them walk. I think we can find much better upgrades in the draft and free agency. And speaking of draft, we're going to need to load up on some draft picks if we want to move up. We're currently at the 13th pick in the first round. I think I'm willing to deal away our current wide receiver 1, Marty Booker, for some draft artillery. We won't be penalized to get rid of him, so it can free up some more cap space for us. I have dealt in the past with this game. It can get really easy to put yourself in some cap hell, so we'll have to be careful with that. I think a team that makes a lot of sense for this move would be the New England Patriots too. They don't have a super high pick, but they also don't have a wide receiver 1, so we can get Brady a much needed weapon. That's in the AFC, we won't have to worry about that. We'll be able to now have 2 first-round picks to work with as we try our best to move up in this draft. So free agency time now. There's a few big names here and there, but obviously that was going to cost us if we bring them in. There's nothing interesting in the QB free agency class, so I think the draft is going to be our path for a QB upgrade. Did want to point out our boy Jerry Porter has hit the open market, but he's going to be commanding a lot to come in. I think a nice inexpensive addition could be Terry Glenn. Still putting up decent wide receiver 2 numbers, and he's staying healthy. That's the most important part there. Tight end class wasn't that exciting either, but we did see a nice inexpensive guy like Robert Royal could be a good addition as a true blocking tight end. We'll definitely be leaning on the run game this year. At guard, there's Jermaine Mayberry, another inexpensive option. I certainly would like to add a nice hog molly in this draft, that's for sure. On the defense side of the ball, there's Ryan Pickett, a nice run-stopping D-tackle, coming off a 60-tackle season. He might be able to pair really nicely with Tommy Harris, plus he's also coming in pretty inexpensive. Nothing here that's really going to break the bank for our cap room. So a week into free agency, let's go ahead and see what the signings are around the league and for Chicago Bears. Did get our guys Royal, Pickett, Mayberry, and Glenn, all the guys we offered, nice and cheap. Not going to kill us in the cap space. Just look real quick around the league as well. Lando Pace heading over to Houston. Our boy Jerry Porter going over to St. Louis on a nice big contract. Good for him, getting paid. Jamal Lewis also heading to Houston, so Houston a little active in free agency. St. Louis also Stephen Hutchinson. St. Louis and Houston probably the biggest 2 players in free agency, that's for sure. As far as the rest of this free agency, I don't see us making any big moves here. I think we're going to just make sure we got enough cap room to sign our draft picks and then afterwards address the rest of our depth pieces. So with that, let's get into some draft combine, draft scouting, get to the real meat and potatoes of how this team's going to have to be built in this offseason. So here is the Mel Kiper draft board. Just FYI, I can't show Mel Kiper's mock draft just because my game crashes every time I click on it. But we will go through the draft order in just a bit. But as we can see, the QBs don't come into the board to the late 20s. But obviously, since they play quarterback, they're going to get a big bump on everyone's draft boards. So the top 2 QBs in this draft looks like it's going to be Clifton Reynolds out of Michigan State and Rafael Lucas out of UCF. Certainly look to spend our max time on them in the combine. Third QB in the rankings is Clemson quarterback Clyde O'Brien, although he does not crack the top 25. But we'll also put our time on all 3 of these guys to start on this first wave of scouting. Looking at Clifton Reynolds to start off, and he has all the makings of a franchise QB, coming in with an 89 arm strength, 92 accuracy. Apparently throws fastballs like a pitcher, and it's no wonder he is at the top. Then we turn our attention to UCF QB Rafael Lucas. Similar arm strength, but not as good of accuracy. But check out that speed, a whopping 91 speed. This is a true athlete playing quarterback. Clyde O'Brien also has some great attributes as well. But let's go ahead and check the tape on these guys and see what we're really dealing with. Starting off looking at Clifton Reynolds, you can see he can certainly place the ball anywhere on the field. showing off that 92 accuracy, 89 throw power. Really can just spread it all around the field. Senses pressure in the pocket rather well, as one of our scouting notes states. Shows us off really nicely here in this play against Michigan for a touchdown. Now let's check out Rafael Lucas out of UCF, and this guy is certainly a fun watch. I mean, his speed allows him to keep the plays alive, dancing around the pocket, great arm strength that can really stretch that ball downfield. Really loves to keep plays alive. This could be a real headache for defensive coordinators around the league when he comes in. We'll just look real quick at Clyde O'Brien, but I think our game plan right now is to really make sure we capture one of these top 2 QBs in Reynolds and O'Brien. But check out this reverse from Clemson wideout Gilmore Allison, who takes to the house. Certainly someone we're going to have to look at in the next wave of scouting. But let's go ahead and check out the draft board and see where we're at and what we have to do to really secure one of these top 2 QBs. So here's what we're looking at for the draft board. I even put down the top 3 team needs for each team that I look through. And I think we're going to really luck out. This top half of this draft really does not need a quarterback urgently. You know, San Francisco, absolutely. But Jacksonville's got Leftwich, San Diego, Phillip Rivers, Kansas City, Trent Green, Jets, Pennington, who had a great season, Cincinnati, Palmer, Seattle, Hasselbeck. Maybe they could go quarterback. But you got Giants with Eli, Indy with Peyton, Miami drafted Jason Campbell last year. Cleveland could go quarterback. Dallas definitely needs quarterback. And then we are at 13. And you already know we're looking for quarterback. Here is the back half of the draft, and there is our second first-round pick, thanks to trade with the Patriots for Marty Booker. So there is a team that also has 2 first-round picks, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. They traded Edgerrin James last year for a first-round pick and a couple other picks. So they have the 9th and the 22nd pick. I would love to see if we can basically flip our 13 and 25th pick with the Colts 9 and 22nd pick. That way we got a little more movement to keep moving up into this top 5, top 3 half of this draft. So let's make a deal. So to get this done, we're going to flip our first round picks with Indianapolis. We'll also have to send our second round pick. We'll get back a 6th round pick just in case we need something kind of later in a trade or something. But this is what we're looking at. Flipping our first, sending our 2. We're going to be moving on up. Colts accept the trade, and now here's what we're looking at. The 9th and 22nd pick. But let's not finish there. Let's make sure we secure one of these 2 top QBs. Let's move up even further. I think we might be able to jump up to number 2. Let's make a trade with Jacksonville so we make sure we secure either Reynolds or Lucas. So in order to get a trade done with Jacksonville, we're going to go ahead and send our 9th, 22nd, and next year's first round pick. We're going to get their first round pick, and we're also get their second round pick. They're still okay. We're giving up their second, which is great. So we'll have the number 2 pick and the number 2 pick in the second round. I think this is a smart deal. We're about to get ourselves a franchise quarterback and get out of these dark times in Chicago. So let's get this done, Jacksonville.
Oh, that sounds awesome, Sonny. What am I, a jerk?
So there we have it. We are set up for either Clifton Reynolds out of Michigan State or Rafael Lucas out of UCF, Central Florida. About to get ourselves a franchise QB in Chicago. Well, let's have some fun, everyone. So we're going to pretty much wrap it up here. Here is the rest of the board that we scouted at, just to give a quick look. I'm going to show Mel Kiper's draft preview at the end, but here's the rest of the scouting that we've done for the rest of the class. But it's all focus is going to be on the number 2 pick of either Clifton Reynolds or Rafael Lucas, that's for sure. Next episode, we'll get into the draft, maybe even do a draft / preseason type of thing, just so we can get into this regular season and start going again. So, that's going to do it for this one, everyone. Stick around for the draft preview. Take care, everybody.
SportsCenter.
Welcome, everyone, to a special NFL offseason report here on ESPN. Trey Wingo here to get you all squared away with what's been going on since we left you after the Pro Bowl a few months back. Coming up, we'll set you straight on all the offseason player movement and see who went where. Then later, we'll call on ESPN's NFL draft expert Mel Kiper Jr. to get the lowdown on the upcoming NFL Combine and, of course, to get his opinions on the upcoming draft in April. But before we get to all of that, let's begin by taking a look at the guys that have decided to announce their retirement from the game. Peter Boulware is finished after 10 good years in the league. He was upbeat at his retirement press conference, saying perhaps someday soon he'd like to get into coaching. Charles Woodson is another name we should mention, as he too decided to hang him up this offseason, so best of luck to him as well with whatever he decides to do. Brian Dawkins announced his retirement a few weeks back. Never really a superstar in his years in the league, but certainly a guy that teammates love to have around. He gave all he had through 11 NFL seasons, and now is in fact rumored to be in the running for an assistant coaching position back at his alma mater. Corey Hall has also, as you see, decided to call it a career. Now, he too was a guy that played with a lot of emotion up there, but he decides he's had enough. Meanwhile, a number of teams went into the free agency period knowing they'd have to spend some big money just to hang on to their existing free agents. And a few of those players did in fact hit the jackpot. Marcus Stroud drew interest from several teams around the league, but in the end, he wound up re-signing with his old mates. 6 years, $49.0 million, plus a $34.2 million signing bonus. And they certainly didn't want to take any chances here, so he re-upped for a full 6 seasons. We'll see if he's able to play out all 6 of those years. Todd Heath also re-upped with his existing club, as he'll stay put for a while, 7 years in total. Travis Claridge decides to stay right where he is, as he is locked up 7 years, $21.9 million, plus a $13.1 million signing bonus. Adam Archuleta agrees to an extension with his old club, as they'll stick around for at least the next 5 years.
Welcome everyone to a special draft preview show here on ESPN. I'm Mel Kiper Jr. With the draft coming up just around the corner, it's time to take a look at some of the guys that are going to be movers and shakers come draft day. The 49ers are holding on to the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, they have a lot of options, but I think the consensus says they're going to go after this guy right here. 6'4", 305, out of Nevada, Reno. He's the kind of player that doesn't come around too often, so I think it's likely that he will, in fact, be the first player selected. So then, falling in line right behind him at the top spot, I think you look at a handful of guys that have the potential to be dominant players at the next level and will likely be selected somewhere in the top 10 picks in the draft. Player is a kid that has firmly established himself as a force to be reckoned with. He had a great final season in college, a great workout, and he's generating a lot of buzz as teams may try to trade up for the opportunity to grab him. And then when you look at some guys that are going to be interesting choices for the late first, early second round, I really see some prospects that are going to be significant upgrades for a lot of teams. Player has first-round talent. Some questions about his size, but I really believe that this is a guy that would really make sense for a number of teams late in round 1. And then this last group, for one reason or another, find themselves as second-day prospects. There's an old axiom that says you can't make a mistake in the later round. That said, I think these are a few guys that can still provide value in the later round. Jimenez is a guy that could really surprise. 6'2", 257, out of Baylor. And there might be some question as to his size and durability, but given the right system, I think this is a young man that could step in and pay dividends. And he's certainly worth rolling the dice on. So there you have it. As always, this is a fun time of the year, kind of like hot stove football. But things should get even more interesting between now and draft day. Till then, I'm Mel Kiper Jr. We'll see you later.